Our topic is all about managing and caring for the self. I am Angeline Pascual Aldabe and I will be the first discussant for this topic. So let's start. How exciting life would have become if, like a puzzle, has gradually concluded with the fit of the single piece. It, its pieces are the different representation and conceptualization of the self from various disciplinal perspective that were examined of their influences, factors, and forces that shape the self which have given color to life. Sabi dito, kung baga itong kapirasong puzzle na ito na hinahanap, ito yung bubuo para mahubog kung baga ang ating sarili. Ito rin yung iba't ibang representation at conceptualization ng ating sarili na magbibigay kulay sa buhay ng isang tao kapag natutunan niya ang iba't ibang aspeto ng sarili. So let's proceed. Learning to be a better person. Sa tingin po ba natin better person na kaya tayo? Kasi may mga pagkakataon na nasasabi natin sa ating sarili na better person na tayo sapagkat nakakagawa tayo ng mga magagandang bagay o nakatutulong tayo sa ibang tao. Pero bilang student, sabi dito, student are still in the process of becoming a better person in different aspect. At this stage of development, their brain's functioning is a work in progress. So bilang estudyante, nasa proseso pa lang tayo para maging isang mabuting tao. Dahil nga nag-aaral pa lang tayo, kailangan natin maging matalino pa kasi ito yung magpapaunlad ng ating sarili to become a better person. Kailangan din natin matutunan kung paano i-handle ang ating utak. Wag yung kumbaga padalos-dalos tayo sa isang desisyon. Dapat pag-isipang mabuti kung ano yung mabuti. At ang isa pa ay ang pag-uugali. Kasi paano ka matatawag na better person kung ang ugali mo ay parang pakitang tao lang. So now let's proceed to how learning happens in the human brain. Expounded by Ford, learning happens through a network of neurons where sensory information is transmitted by synapses along the neural pathway and stored temporarily in short-term memory. So through networks of neurons, sensory information is transmitted by synapses along the neural pathway and it is stored temporarily in short-term memory where this is the receiving center of sensory information we encountered in our daily life. And once na-process na itong memories, pupunta na ito sa structural core and it is stored in our long-term memory, which is the vast respiratory of everything we have experienced in our lives. Pero sabi dito, ang mga prosesong ito ay nangyayari instantly, pero hindi pa laging perfecto or perfect dahil it is the main reason why many memories are incomplete or may include false portion that we make up to fill holes in the real memory. When two neurons frequently interact, they form a bond that allows them to transmit more easily and accurately that leads to more complete memories and easier recall. On the other hand, when two neurons rarely interact, the transmission is often incomplete that leads to a faulty memory or no memory at all. Nagkakaroon din naman ng conflict sa pag-process ng memories or information, kaya baga minsan kulang ang information na nasasabi nato sa ibang tao or sa isang tao. During emotional reaction to fear, anger, laughter, love, to name a few, the emotion becomes part of the memory and strengthens it dramatically. So this is why emotion is related to memory because emotions can have an effect on our memory. And those people are in positive mood, they are more likely to remember more information presented to them. Whereas people who are in negative mood are less likely to remember the information that is presented to them. Since learning inherently requires acquisition of new information, our brain's propensity to focus on the novel and forget the redundant makes it a natural learning ally. In fact, our brains are hardwired to learn from the moment we are born. Our native curiosity is driven by our brain's inherent search for the unusual in our environment. Let's proceed to metacognition. So, introducing metacognition into this chapter gives students the ability to control and direct their learning experience to develop powerful skills that can directly relate to their academic and career success. One amazing wonder the brain is capable of doing besides learning, which is something that everyone expected to do, is learning to learn. Ito ang minsang nararanasan lalo na ng mga estudyante, maaaring nag-aaral sila, ngunit hindi naman sila natututo. Kaya tatalakayin natin itong metacognition na ito to give students the ability to control and direct their learning experience to develop powerful skills. According to Pierre Paul, metacognition enables students to be more active in their learning, to mobilize all of their resources in order to have successful learning experiences. And one of the example of metacognition ay mga activities sa school that involves them to participate and show their skills to have successful learning experiences. But in order to do this, sabi dito, they must know how they learn and be aware of the steps that are followed and the means that are used to acquire knowledge, solve problems, and perform tasks. According to the LD Online Glossary, metacognition is the process of thinking about thinking. What does it mean? It is the thinking about thinking is the process of thinking about one's own thinking and learning, or the ability to think about and regulate one's own thoughts. So in other words, metacognition is the understanding and awareness of one's own mental or cognitive processes. And according to a number of research study, kapag ang estudyante ay nagawa ang isang task at nagawa niya ang tinatawag na metacognition, ay mas magiging better ang kanyang performance and their learning becomes more meaningful. To paraphrase Edgar Morin, metacognition involves thinking and reflecting before, during, and after a learning task. Kaya nga mahalaga yung mga activities sa school dahil nai-involve tayo na mag-participate and magpakita ng ating mga talents and skills. And doon natin nakikita yung pagiging palaisip natin dahil nag-iisip tayo ng mga strategies para maging successful ang task na ibinigay sa atin. And when students think about the strategies they will use to perform a task, doon na nag-i-start yung tinatawag nating metacognition. So let's proceed to types of learning strategies and supports, which is cognitive. We have rehearsal, definition, reciting items to be learned from a list. Benefit, believed to influence the attention and coding process. It does not seem to help students connect current information with prior knowledge. So rehearsal is very necessary for any speech or performance. It is also essential for us students to advance their learning. And the example of this is when students is presented with specific information to be learned, such as a list. Often he or she will attempt to memorize the information by repeating it over and over to memorize it, and the repeated practice increases the student's familiarity with the information. Next is elaboration, summarizing and paraphrasing, creating analogies, question asking, and selecting key ideas from text. Benefit, believed to improve a student's ability to store information into a long-term memory by building internal connection between items to be learned and assisting with the integration of new information with prior knowledge. So the elaboration helps students make connection between new material and what they already know. And this connecting takes stress off of working memory because connection creates efficiency of learning and memory. So next we have organization. It is the definition of this is outlining, and the benefits is helps learning select appropriate information and make the connections to be learned. It allows the learner to manipulate, integrate, and or otherwise interact with the information so that it is more easily learned and remembered. So let's proceed to analyzing. The definition of this is problem solving, critical thinking, which is involved in problem solving, math problem. In critical thinking, essays or poem. And the benefits of this strategy is assist students with applying previous knowledge to new situations in order to solve problems and or reach decision. Let's proceed to the types of learning strategies and supports of metacognitive.
Good day, I'm Maris Fatalvero reporting the 2.1 types of learning strategies and supports metacognitive. These strategies would help students think about thinking. First is monitoring their progress as they learn. And second is making changes and adapting their strategies if they perceive that they are not doing as well as you could. Connecting new information to existing knowledge, selecting thinking strategies deliberately, planning, monitoring, and evaluating thinking processes. Metacognitive activities usually occur before or after a cognitive activity. In the relationship between metacognition and cognitive strategies, a student who usually monitors himself or herself when reading his or her reference books is the student through self-monitoring can sense that he or she does not comprehend what was read, is metacognitive, and recognizes that he or she will understand the text better if he or she creates an outline, cognitive. Here are the strategies to develop metacognition. First, share and model self-monitoring processes. Example, proofreading. Second, explain and provide handouts regarding particular strategies that may be helpful. Third, clarify and model when particular strategies are appropriate. And fourth, clarify why particular strategies are appropriate. 2.2 Study strategies. What shall the students do now to make learning effective? Here are popular study strategies and learning techniques based on a meta-study evaluated by Dunlosky 2013. First, practice over time. Practice testing refers to any form of testing for learning which a student is able to do on his or her own. More is better, and that multiple practice tests are more beneficial when they are spaced in time rather than crowded in, one after another. It is because having a lot of time to practice makes better and be more focused on learning. Number 2. Questioning and explanation. Elaborative interrogation is a complex name for a simple concept asking oneself why something is the way it is, or a particular concept or fact is true in providing the answer. In questioning and explanation, questioning oneself can produce new relating information to the explained information which is already known. Number 3. Producing summaries of texts. This is likely to involve the reading and comprehension of text, as well as the ability to identify the most important information within it and to encapsulate it briefly in one's own words. Producing summaries of text. In this stage, reading comprehension is important in making summaries because it entails the most significant information to make it short and precise. And number 4, highlighting and underlining portions of text. This also includes rereading. Highlighting tended to work better for students who were more adept at identifying the crucial to be remembered aspects of a text. Highlighting and underlining portion of text, it happens when students are better in identifying or differentiating significant details to bear in mind.
Good day everyone, my name is Enrico G. Stallado. Today, I discuss the part of managing and caring for the self, letter B, setting goals for success.
Teenagers are likely to be confronted with such a wide range of responsibilities that cross with the roles they play in various social structures throughout their lives. Enlightening them upon those objectives that they should pursue will thus show their thoughts and their events of conflict of interest. The importance of goal. Ryan 1970s, as referenced by Locke and Layham 2002, said that conscious objectives has impact on behavior, and so goal is the purpose or aim of an act as such. First and foremost, objective serves as directional functions, directing attention and effort toward activities that are relevant to the goals and away from activities that are extraneous to the goals. Secondly, goals have an invigorating effect on the person pursuing them. High objectives motivate people to put up more effort than low ones. Third, goals have an impact on persistence. According to Leporti in 1975, whenever individuals were given the power to control hours spent on activity, difficult objectives cause individuals to put forth more effort. Based on the research of Wood and Locke 1990 and Latham 2002, fourth objectives have an indirect effect on behavior by causing the activation of task relevant expertise and methods. as well as their acquisition and application.
I'm Andra Estavaya Estilier from BAT 1B, reporting Albert Bandora's self-efficacy. Students' goals can be achieved if they are worthy of believing their goals can be achieved. As Gandhi perfectly understood the essential role of self-belief in the student lives. Your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your action becomes your habits become your values become your destiny. Self-efficacy was developed by Albert Bandura as a part of larger theory, the social learning theory, Ashford and Lecroy 2010, which has progressed into social cognitive theory, Levin, Culkin, and Pareto 2001. Tumutukoy sa paniniwala ng isang individual sa kanyang kapasidad na magsagawa ng mga pag-uugali na kailangan upang makabuo ng tiyak na tagumpay, o mga paniniwala sa ating kakayahan o mga impluensya na nakakaapekto sa ating buhay. Albert Bandura, 1994, as cited by Weibel 2011, defines self-efficacy as people's beliefs about their capabilities to produce designated level of performance and exercise to influence over event that affect level, o sumasalamin sa pagtitiwala sa kakayahang gumawa o magkontrol ng sariling motibasyon at pag-uugali. People with high assurance in their capabilities. Number 1. Approach difficult tasks as a challenge to be mastered. Number 2. Set challenge goals and maintain strong commitment to them. Number 3. Heighten or sustain their efforts in the face of failure or setback. Number 4. Attribute failure to insufficient effort or insufficient knowledge and skill which are acquirable. Number 5. Approach threatening situation with assurance that they can experience control over them. Having a successful, for example, is mastering a task for controlling an environment will build self-belief in that area, whereas a failure will undermine the efficacy beliefs. To have a resilient sense of self-efficacy requires experience in overcoming obstacles through effort and perseverance. People with high assurance in their capabilities approach difficult tasks as a challenge to be mastered rather than traits to be avoided, such as efficacious outlook, foster intrinsic interest and deep engrossment in activity. They set themselves challenging goals and maintain strong commitment to them. On the contrary, people doubt their capabilities. Number 1. Shy away from tasks they view as personal traits. Number 2. Have low aspiration and weak commitment to goal they choose to purpose. Number 2. Have low aspiration to weak commitment to goal they choose to pursue. Number 3. Dwell on personal deficiencies, obstacle they will encounter, and all kinds of adverse outcomes, rather than concentrating on who performs successfully. Number 4. Loosen their efforts and give up quickly in the face of difficulties. Number 5. Are slow recover of their sense of efficacy following failure setback. Number 6. Fall easy victim or stress and depression. 4 main source of efficacy beliefs. Bandura 1997. Number 1. Mastery experience. It is also known as a personal performance accomplishment, are the most effective way to create a strong sense of efficacy. Number 2. Vicarious experiences. These are done through observance of social models that also influence one's perception of self-efficacy. Number 3. Verbal or social persuasion. It is a way of strengthening people beliefs that they have what it takes to succeed. Number 5. Emotional and physiological states. The state a person is in will influence how he or she judges self-efficacy. Stress reaction or tension are interpreted as sign of vulnerability to poor performance, whereas positive emotion can boost confidence in skill. Self-efficacy is the belief of one's effectiveness in performing specific tasks. Albert Bandura's theory of self-efficacy has important implication for motivation.
Hello everyone, my name is Jared Ingera and I'm from Group 4. Number 3, Carol Dweck's mindset. In Carol Dweck's view, you believe have a significant impact on what you desire and whether or not you attain it. Achievement and success are mostly determined by your mindset, according to Dweck's research, and that individuals have either a fixed or a growth mindset, and the one that you embrace may have a profound effect on your life in very way. Number 1. To learn hear your fixed mindset voice. A fixed mentality will inhibit you from succeeding by doubting your abilities for a certain project. Do you fear failure and being despaired? Do you avoid taking on new challenges? You may hear yourself making excuses, blaming others and justifying. To overcome negative thinking, you may employ thought awareness. Number 2. Every encounter has problems and setbacks in life, but how you react to them determines your success and failures. You'll regard these setbacks and evidence that you're not capable of doing the job. Then you may establish a plan of action to learn. Work hard, change the method, then start once more. Number 3. Encourage yourself that you can develop the abilities required to attain your objectives when confronted with a difficult situation. Failures is a part of learning and growth. Instead of doubting your abilities, you should challenge the fixed mindset and trust your journey and yourself more, and that any time you shall get there. Number 4. It's simpler to overcome hardness when you think that behave with a development attitude. As with plan or basketball shoots plano, no one really accomplishes it right the first time. Start to comprehend mistake as an ability to improve. And this is the 5 principle of goal setting. First is the clarity. For goals to be motivating, they need to be clear and they need to be short and simple. Complexity or uncertainty makes it very difficult for people to comprehend. This also makes them less motivating, which makes them less likely to do something. Number 2, challenge. To be inspirational, goals must be challenging quite so. Having the right level of challenging objectives motivates people. That reaching their aims would be a true accomplishment. Achieving complex challenges will not inspire others. Goals that are too difficult to attain can cause people to quit before they have even begun. Number 3, commitment. A goal is not embraced, just a suggestion. Achieving a goal has many forms. Individuals acknowledge these goals, but they are more appreciated if they help define it themselves. Feedback. Number 4. Individuals require clear and precise feedback and opinions of their progress. The sort of feedback required will depend on the aim being pursued. Nonetheless, feedback has always been valuable. Number 5. Task complexity. To be a leader, you need to set goals that are at the right level of complexity. Leaders should not set more than one goal for a completed task and goals. If single goals are set for very complicated tasks, they aren't very likely to work. If this is the case, it's necessary to break goals down smaller, understandable parts. Many of us recognize that establishing goals is essential to success. Your aims may be achieved by using luck and Latham's concepts. Their study backs up smart goal setting. Their ideas still influence how we analyze success today. Following this basic principle can help you achieving your goals and enhance your overall performance. That's all. Thank you.
Stressors and responses. Human stress, sociological or physical stressors, and psychological stressors. Sociological or physical stressors are those that put strain on the body, include very cold or hot temperature, injury, chronic illness, or pain. Psychological stressors are events, situations, individual comments, or anything we interpret as negative or threatening, like not being to review your notes for the exam as you are taking care of your parent in the hospital. Source of coping. Stress is a negative experience usually accompanied by emotional, physiological, cognitive, and behavioral adjustments. Caring, according to Lazarus and Folkman in 1984, is the process of attempting to manage the demands created by stressful events that are appraised as taxing or exceeding a person's resources. Among the coping resources to improve the ability to manage stressful events and better health outcomes include optimism, psychological control or mastery, self-esteem, and social support stressful events. Source of coping. Stress is a negative experience usually accompanied by emotional, physiological, cognitive, and behavioral adjustments. Caring, according to Lazarus and Folkman in 1984, is the process of attempting to manage the demands created by stressful events that are appraised as taxing or exceeding a person's resources. Among the coping resources to improve the ability to manage stressful events and better health outcomes include optimism, psychological control or mastery, self-esteem, and social support stressful events. The social and cultural dimension of stress. Stress is mediated through culture, from the very nature of the stressors to the ways we respond to the stress. Understanding this local context might help us develop more culturally appropriate and therefore ways to deal with stress. Culture adapts to circumstances.
I'm Leila Grace Escota from Bat 1B, discussing the taking care of the self, the need for self-care and compassion. Generally speaking, self-care is engaging in activities and behavior that have a positive effect on one's mental and physical health. She adds that there's a bit of reverse golden rule aspect to the practice, that is to treat yourself as compassionately as you treat to others. Self-care, ito ang positibong ginagawa mo para sa iyong sarili, healing mental and physical health. May tinatawag din na reverse golden rule. It is the practice kung paano mo itrato yung sarili mo, katulad ng pagtrato mo sa iba. Reasons why self-care is necessary. It increases self-love, allowing appreciation and acceptance of who a person is. Self-love is very important to us kasi by that, less yung worry mo sa ibang tao, hindi gaano mabigat yung iniisip mo because of loving yourself. And then, appreciation and acceptance mo sa ibang tao kung ano man ang mindset nila sa mga anumang bagay. It promotes feeling of calm and relaxation, serving as a way to refocus and come back daily life, refreshed and ready to take on anything. Nakaka-increase pa siya ng mental health mo, like marelax ka and mas magiging focus ka sa mga bagay na gusto mong gawin with passion. It provides both physical and mental health by reducing the effect of prolonged stress on mind and body. Nakakatulong din siya sa mental and physical health mo. Mababawasan ang mga epekto ng stress sa body and mind mo. Ways to engage in self-care. Physical self-care, eating well, exercising regularly, prioritizing sleep, and taking care of health. Dapat din natin i-prioritize ang ating physical health. Kailangan natin baguhin ang ating body clock if unhealthy ito kasi naaapektuhan dito yung tamang oras mo para kumain, matulog, at mag-exercise. Here are examples to engage in physical self-care. Eat a healthy meal, engage in exercise, go for a walk, drink water, practice a good sleep hygiene, have a cup of tea, sit in the sunlight, and take a shower or bath. Emotional self-care, managing anxiety, anger, sadness, and other emotion, setting boundaries with people who are not positive or supportive, spending time alone to rest and recharge, maintaining a bullet journal. Kailangan natin i-manage ang ating emotion kasi we can have a healthy relationship and mas ma-manage natin yung ating difficulties and setbacks. And kung may na-encounter ka man na tao and feel mo na like negative yung binibigay nilang energy sa'yo, you can set boundaries, like on social media, you can unfollow or unfriend them as long as feel mo na walang negative feed na dumadaan sa newsfeed mo na nakakaapekto sa mental health mo. Spiritual self-care, volunteering, connecting with nature, meditation, mindfulness. Spiritual self-care does not have to be religious, although for some it is. There are activities that nurtures your spirit and allow you to think bigger than yourself. Example of spiritual self-care is meditation, going to a place of worship, be in nature, and dedicate them for self-reflection. To take care of the self, also to delve into compassion for the self needs to seek in deeper meaning. Everyone has had that share of loving kindness, meaning wishing happiness for another person. Compassion is wishing for that person to be free from suffering. Compassion literally means to suffer together. Among emotion researchers, compassion is defined as the feeling that arises when you are confronted with others' suffering and feel motivated to relieve that suffering. The care and kindness, especially the tendency to think about the needs and the good of others, to offer some kind of support and way to help the physical, mental, or emotional pains. Like for example, when you relate to someone's situation and then gusto mong tumulong. And also, para ma-empathize mo yung taong nakakaranas ng suffering and to comply na mabawasan man yung mga pinagdadaanan niya. Yung compassion, di naman siya same as empathy or altruism, pero ang concept nila is related. Kasi yung empathy, ito yung ability mo maintindihan yung perspective ng iba and share the feelings ng isang tao. While yung compassion naman, ito yung feeling and thoughts mo na may desire to help, like action towards the people. Like open door for someone, motivates other, share a hug or handshake at iba pa. Yung altruism naman, ito yung kindness, selfless, na pag-uugali dahil sa feeling of compassion, like bigay ka na lang ng bigay dahil sa naawa ka or gusto mo talaga makatulong without knowing na makakaapekto naman ito sa sarili mo. Iniisip mo lagi yung iba dahil gusto mo makatulong at masaya ka naman sa ginagawa mo. For example, binibigay mo sa iba yung pagkain mo dahil may isang taong nagugutom. Yun ay altruistic kasi may natutulungan ka, pero nagugutom ka din naman kasi binibigay mo sa iba yung dapat na para sa'yo. There are various forms of compassion and why they are so important. Familiar compassion is the seed of compassion planted through the caregiver offspring bond. It raises very interesting question about people who are brought up without a single caregiver or were brought up with a parent who had a very distant attachment. Global compassion was exemplified by the response to the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. People around the world extended assistance to the stranger or different races and skin color. Ito naman yung concern to alleviate the suffering of anyone regardless sa kanilang nationality, language, culture, or religion. Sentient compassion is when one extends feeling of compassion towards cockroaches, towards any living being. When people got sentient, they also got global, sentient, and highest moral virtue. Ito naman yung feeling of compassion mo and altruistic motivation and yung pag-uugali sa lahat ng living beings like animals, insects, trees, etc. Heroic compassion is like altruism with a risk. It has two forms. Immediate heroic compassion is when without thought, one jumping onto MRT tracks to rescue someone. Ang heroic compassion ay parang altruistic with risk. May dalawang form siya. Ito ang immediate and considerate. Yung immediate heroic compassion, it is acting without thought on behalf of another. For example, is jumping onto a subway track to rescue another person. And yung considered naman, heroic compassion is done with thought. Hindi ito ginagawa ng pabigla-bigla. The most significant contribution of self-compassion is the attention giving to the self, which is always associated with the body, and the bodies are built for survival.